Hello, Mr. Joffe.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello, yes, I can see you and hear you.
Yes.
Yes.
My name is Chichi Robles, and I work here at the University of Asia and the Pacific. It is 9:35 p.m. Manila time. What time is it in Amsterdam?
Amsterdam, it's about 3:35.
All right, so good afternoon, Mr. Roland Joffe.
Thank you.
And,
good evening, or good night, I
Yes. We are a group of about 40 here gathered to interact with you. And
Right, thank you.
I will move aside now to give way to some people who would like to give you their very fresh insights right after viewing There Be Dragons tonight. Let me first give you a lawyer, educator, an advocate, and a member of the Movie Television Ratings Classification Board. That's quite a mouthful, I know. Perhaps he can tell us more about it.
Yes.
Attorney Toto Villarreal.
Yes.
Very nice to meet you.
Yes. Good evening, Roland. I hope you can see me there. Okay.
I can.
Okay. Thank you. First of all, I'd like to congratulate you for this wonderful movie. I'll not take up so much of your time. Actually, I'm a great fan. I've seen your work, The Mission, and it was what inspired me, among others, to go to law school.
Oh my gosh, well, thank you.
Yes, that's right. How you portrayed, in fact, the intensity there of the two main characters. But going to your present film, what really struck me was the very human portrayal of Jose Maria Escriva. Because here in the Philippines, as you know, they say we're a Catholic country, we tend to put our saints always in the pedestal. Almost candy cane. You can see them, short of having them in plastic containers and selling them in the malls, really. In fact, they are in the malls. We have churches inside malls here in the Philippines. Yes. But here, we see him very, very human with his group of friends. His weaknesses were shown. What struck me really was when that lady kissed him. And I think it drove home the point that, well, this fellow is a man like us. And
yes.
Yeah, that's right. And I won't take much of your time. I would like to give all the other friends here, there are filmmakers. I would like to say that, well, when this was being reviewed by our classification board in the Philippines, we don't do censorship here. We just tell the people, okay, this one is for general patronage, this one needs a little bit of parental guidance. You know what? In the viewing room, there were supposed to be only 3 persons who were supposed to view the film, to review it. And here in the Philippines, we take that seriously. It's a quasi-judicial function. If you don't like our review, you can go to the courts, in fact, to complain. And you know what? When I was reviewing another film at that time, and I was a bit bothered in a nice sense because there were people buzzing at the door, and there were so many people inside the room. Not only the 3 people, and I heard that they were very much pleased by the presentation of the saint and also the conflict between father and son. Again, congratulations, Mr. Joffe.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Villarreal. Next to speak, Mr. Joffe, is Dr. Veronica Isla.
Hi, good evening, Sir Roland.
Hi, Doctor.
I decided to call you sir because for being brave in taking on the challenge of making this kind of film. I'm sure that everyone here on this side of this virtual space would agree that There Be Dragons, with its emphasis on forgiveness and reconciliation, is the most relevant film in 2011. Maybe not the most profitable, at least not yet, but definitely very relevant. And I say this because we know that today many nations are torn by civil wars, a situation that happens to be the backdrop of the film. And I would say that although many societies have grown cynical about these ideals because they have lost touch with the divine, They remain ideals worth pursuing if we are to preserve our humanity. And these ideals are also resonate at the personal level. And also, what really struck me about the film is how you began and ended the film. And for me, that's very important, especially in appreciating the form, or narrative form of a film. And I noticed that there are elements common to both the opening and the closing scenes of your film, and which somehow gave your film some balance and completeness. So elements such as Robert's voice-over narration and also the death scenes. And so while Jose Maria died in a very ordinary way, you see him there on the floor, unconscious. And for me, that spoke a lot about what he stood for, because he's known to be the saint of the ordinary. And towards the end, you also see another death scene, which happens to be that of Manolo, which is very far from ordinary, and I would say it's even mystical and supernatural. And so, in fact, I was wondering what made you choose to end the film that way. Probably you can tell us more about that later. Thank you so much for having this conversation with us, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want to answer you now, or you want to answer what your point now?
We can get into the Q&A a little later on when we do the roast Roland part. But right now, just sit back and listen. We have two more who'd like to give their reflections about the film. The next one to speak is a graduate of the University of the Philippines. He took up film and audiovisual. His name is Carlos Solyonco.
Good afternoon there, Direk. Here in the Philippines, we call our directors as Direk, as a shortcut. So I'll call you Direk. It's my pleasure introducing this term to you, sir. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for sharing your film with us, and congratulations on it. What struck me the most, I guess, was actually watching the film, because I also read about it, a bit about it beforehand, and it struck me as such a independent release, I suppose, if you could call it that. Here in the Philippines, there have been emerging movements of what would be called independent cinema, and mostly what we see would be, well, things that sort of dramatize the third world, and the very essence of what independent cinema is always sort of, say, related to something very negative. And I think this film shows us what true independent cinema could be, that cinema is cinema, that it's not supposed, that just because it's independent doesn't give you a reason for it to be shot bad, it doesn't give you a reason to have a crap screenplay and things like that. Secondly, so yes, such great independent effort in your part. I read a lot about the production and stuff, and I must say, great effort, and great product as well. Secondly, I'd like to dive into, I guess, a lot has been touched on about the story and about characterizations and about certain scenes just from the two speakers we had, but I think as a whole, the film I think it shows the potency of cinema to be personal and political, because cinema is the personal and is the political, and whether this strikes a chord to people, whether they be Catholic or not, whether they agree with Saint Jose Maria or with Manolo, I think it's so telling of what essentially the world is, and that is the personal is political, there is this sociological imagination going on wherein we affect each other and affect the ongoings of around us, like, to a greater extent. And third, I'd like to just, I guess, pinpoint how universal the themes are in terms of it being set in a certain place, but sort of being applicable to things that we are experiencing, like I said, in our personal lives, in our daily struggles, and I guess in those encounters with our own dragons. So yeah, for that, I'd like to thank you and commend your team.
Thank you very much. Well, you saw a lot in the film, thank you.
All right, thank you.